defendant provide his driver's license?
Said he did not have one. He was traveling.
Said he was traveling?
He was traveling. I asked him approximately 5 times to step out of his vehicle. He would not truck his window approximately 4 to 5 times. Opened the door and said something about fighting me.
Eventually, the defendant rolls up his window, demanding to talk to a supervisor, tenses up so he cannot be placed into handcuffs, essentially declared sovereign citizen status.
This man is a sovereign citizen who's been charged with felony resisting and obstructing.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
This is his preliminary hearing on those charges. He's going to lose. This is also a hearing to determine whether he broke his bond conditions by drinking. He says that it was a monster, but the numbers don't lie. He's going to lose that too. And then, after all that, the judge is going to make a decision that will leave you scratching your head. Let me know in the comments if you think Judge Wiggins made a huge mistake here. Let's roll nurse.
We are set for a couple different things. The first is a preliminary examination, and the other is a bond violation. Is there any resolution to either of those?
There is not, Your Honor.
Ms. Curie, which would you like to handle first?
Do the bond violation.
All right. The allegations are that the defendant tested positive for alcohol on June 5th, 2025. The defendant was placed on bond by this court, or by the magistrate, back on May 17th as a condition of that. So there was an amended bond, pretrial release done on May 19th of this year. And as a condition of that, he was to consume no alcohol, marijuana, illegal controlled substances, and was subject to random testing. Your first witness, Ms. Curie?
Thank you. Read about Alex Mansky.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Go ahead and have a seat. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Curie.
Thank you. Could you please state your name for the record?
Alex Matsky,
And what is your occupation?
Senior Community Corrections Officer for Business Office.
Was Richard Franklin ordered to your office to perform alcohol testing?
Yes.
How often was he supposed to test?
We test randomly 1 to 3 times a week.
And do you recognize Mr. Franklin?
I do.
Is he in the courtroom?
Yes.
What's he wearing?
He's wearing orange.
Your Honor, may the record reflect you identified the defendant.
See nobody else in orange, it so reflects.
Thank you. Did Mr. Franklin test on June 5th?
He did.
What type of test did he take?
It's a 10-channel drug test and ETG.
What is an ETG?
Alcohol urine test.
Yeah. Are you trained to conduct those tests?
I am.
Did you follow your training that day?
I did.
What was the result of that test?
It was positive for THC and alcohol.
Did you get a confirmation test done on that urine sample?
I do a confirmation test, instant one, and then we send it to the lab as well.
I'm going to show you to Marcus Peoples Exhibit 1. Could you identify that?
That is the lab results.
And when was it sent to you? Or when did you send it to the lab?
We sent it to the lab on June 5th at the end of the day.
And what is tell me what lab this came from, the exhibit.
I believe it's in Arizona where it gets sent to.
Is the name on there?
Yes, Gordon Health Solutions.
And when did they conduct the test?
They received it on June 9th and they reported and tested on June 10th.
Their report date is June 10th.
Correct.
And on that exhibit, who was the subject that they tested?
Richard Franklin.
And what is the result of that test?
It's positive for ethyl fluoride, which is the ETG test, and ethyl sulfate.
Is that alcohol?
It's in alcohol, yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. As for admission of People's Exhibit 1.
Mr. Hartel?
No objection, Your Honor.
One is received.
And the condition of his bond was not to amount or THC, right?
Correct.
I don't have any further questions.
Mr. Hartel?
Just a few. Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, when you give these, it's a urine test, correct?
Correct.
When you do that, can you describe the steps and procedures in that?
Yes, person comes into the restroom, they are padded down, and then they use the bathroom in a cup, and it's a hand-dipped instant urine test.
The items that you send to the lab, do you seal it at any point before sending it to the lab?
We do that in front of the defendant. They sign off on the proper transportation paperwork, and then a sticker that they sign is put on the bottle that's sent to the lab.
What amount of time does it normally get sealed after it's collected?
It's sealed when both of us are still in the bathroom.
Okay. If you had to guess how much gap of time, minutes, probably less than an hour, if I had to guess.
2 minutes, maybe.
Okay. Is it the time written on there as well?
It would be written on the lab paperwork.
Okay. When it's sealed, is that for a reason to avoid contamination, anything like that?
It's so that we know, and the defendant knows that this is their sample. I believe it also assists in not spilling.
Makes sense. Just to confirm, did you give my client a PBT breathalyzer, anything of that nature?
I did not.
Is there a reason why you did?
PBTs go back about 8 hours. The urine test is able to go back about 72 hours.
That's based on your training experience, correct?
Correct.
I don't have any questions right now, but Ms. Carey may. Thank you.
Ms. Carey,
Nothing further.
may this witness be excused?
She may.
Your next witness, Ms. Carey?
Take a rest.
Mr. Hartel?
My client wishes to testify on his own behalf.
All right, sir, you can stay right there. If you please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sir, can you state your name for the record? Richard Aaron Franklin. Were you on bond on June 5th? Yes, sir. On that date, did you consume any alcohol? No, sir. When was the last time you did consume alcohol?
The incident that happened that put me in jail.
Okay, so nothing after you've been on bond, correct?
Smoked marijuana and I could drink.
All right. What do you recall the events of giving the urine sample?
Yes, Sunday the 1st, I gave a sample. Wednesday, no numbers came up, which would have been 4. Thursday was my day. I work. I'm a third shifter. I start at 10 o'clock and work at CCI, get out at 6:30. I stayed in town until 8:30 because that's when the testing is done. I went to Westco, got a sandwich and a Monster energy drink, waited down by the lake, and I'm always the first one when my member comes up to be at the door to test, and I wanted to test.
When they actually gave you the test, was it as Ms. Mansky described? Was there anything that you felt was different?
I felt like it took a lot longer, and they put a second stick in there after that are set and room temperature. I asked for a breathalyzer, but they get one of them.
Did you see it immediately sealed?
After they were done, yes,
How much time do you think that's
more than 2 minutes.
You mentioned them not giving you a breathalyzer. Did you take one later that same day?
I took one at the jail, blew all zeros.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. I don't have any more questions. Ms. Carey May.
Ms. Carey?
I don't have any questions. He was given a PTG test and he tested positive while in the community corrections office. It was sent to the lab for compensation. He got positive for alcohol. I would ask that the court find him guilty for that.
My client, even though he had the right to enact his Fifth Amendment rights, did testify. He testified. I felt it was very honest that he did not consume any alcohol for several days before the test. I don't know why it might have been a false positive. I'm not a scientist, but he did note that his PBT at the jail came back as zeros. I realize that's a different test. It goes back a different range, but he did testify under oath that he did not consume alcohol on bond. I'd ask the court to factor that in. And
Well, based on the testimony presented today and the report that was received from Court Health Solutions, People's Exhibit Number 1, I do find that the defendant did test positive for alcohol. He was way above the cutoff range. The urine by ethyl sulfate was 1,012 nanograms per milliliter. The cutoff on that is 100 nanograms per milliliter. And the EG is 6380 nanograms, and the cutoff was 500. Additionally, it does appear that they checked for basic alteration, and that came back normal. The creatine was 138.7 milligrams, and the cutoff on that is 20 milligrams per deciliter. As such, I do find that there, for the standard for a bond violation, find that the defendant has violated his bond. We will get to what we were going to do with bond after the preliminary examination. Ms. Clary, your first witness in that. And I should say we're here for three counts, I believe it is, but only one count number one, the police officer, is that assault, resist, and obstruct is the subject of the preliminary examination.
Your Honor, I don't doubt Ms. Carey's already done so. Wish for the record, we sequester all witnesses.
Ms. Carey, any witnesses in the courtroom?
No.
All right, so if any witness has been subpoenaed for today for this case, I'm going to ask you to step out. None?
Two troopers.
Okay. Ms. Carey? Trooper, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you've given this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Go ahead and have a seat. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Carey.
Trooper, could you please state your full name for the record?
Logan Kennedy.
What is your occupation?
I'm a trooper of Michigan State Police out of Canada Post.
And were you working on May 16th of this year?
Yes, I really.
Recall what you're doing about 9:30 that night?
We were on road patrol now.
Where?
We were in Herring Township in Wexford County.
Were you alone or with somebody else?
I was with a trooper on the time.
Did something catch your attention at that time?
Yeah, defective equipment violation coverage with the defendant. His vehicle was not in good working condition. The muffler was loud, very loud.
So when you heard the loud muffler, what did you do?
We turned the patrol car around and hauled the vehicle to no traffic stop.
And did the vehicle stop?
Yes, sir.
And after that, did you have contact with the driver?
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize the driver?
Yeah.
Is he in court?
Yes.
What's he wearing?
He's wearing.
Where is he seated?
He's to the left of me right here.
To my right?
To your right is my right.
Your Honor, may the record reflect he's identified the defendant.
It shall so reflect.
If you trooper, when you pulled over the vehicle, what type of vehicle were you in?
I was in a marked patrol car in a blue patrol. Michigan State Police.
Fully marked?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were you wearing?
I'm wearing the uniform that you see today.
Was anyone else in the defendant's vehicle?
No, I was a little extra.
Describe your initial contact with the defendant.
I announced myself as a Michigan State trooper and the reason for the stop, and also for the insurance registration and his driver's license.
Did the defendant provide his driver's license?
He said he did not have one and he was traveling.
Said he was
He
traveling?
was traveling.
Why did he say that?
Later, he showed he revoked driving status.
After he failed to provide, said he didn't have a driver's license, what happened?
I asked him to step out of his vehicle.
Did he?
No, for that.
Did you ask him more than once?
Yes, I asked him approximately 5 times to step out of his vehicle.
And each time, what happened?
He stated no.
So after he refused
I'm
to
sorry, you
step,
stated no one what?
He would not.
Okay.
after he refused to step out, what did you do? What happened?
I went back to my car and Trooper Hoffmeister around the car to talk to the driver.
Okay. And after Trooper Hoffmeister spoke with the defendant, what happened?
Trooper Hoffmeister asked 5 times for my phone as well. Trooper Hoffmeister also asked for additional units. I grabbed my baton and we told him that he was going to be under arrest for no. When I broke out his window.
When you were speaking with him, you broke out his window. Was it rolled up at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
When you were speaking with him initially, was his window up or down?
It was down at the time, but he rolled it up.
Did you try his door?
Yeah, I tried opening his door, but it was locked.
So you got out your baton. What did you do with your baton?
I struck his window approximately 45 times, and it created a hole, and I pushed my baton in and scraped the window and cut myself doing so.
We'll get to that.
Yes, sir.
After you broke out the window, what happened?
He opened the door.
The defendant opened the door.
Yes, sir.
And then what?
He faced my partner, Trooper Hoffmeister, in an aggressive manner, and we turned him around into the A-pillar, and when we turned him around, he tensed up his arms.
What is the A-pillar?
The A-pillar is the first pillar of the left side of the car or the right side of the car,
Okay.
where the main windshield.
he tensed up his arms. What, continue with that. What happened after you got him up against the car?
So Trooper Hoffmeister grabbed the left side of his arm and he tensed up and I grabbed the right side. And once I put pressure with my hands on his wrist or arm area, he gave up and put his hands down his head.
Were there any other officers involved?
Yes, Sergeant Grove.
At what point did he arrive, if you know?
He arrived right shortly before I entered the window. Broke the window.
And you stated you injured. How were you injured?
I had stitches on my left pinky here. Blast.
Thank you. I don't have anything further.
Mr. Purcell?
Just a few. Thank you for being here today, sir. Yes, sir. I believe you mentioned a moment ago that the initial stop was due to the muffler. Is that correct? Yes, sir. How did you know that there was an issue with the muffler? It was in very loud condition, not a normal vehicle. Do you have any equipment to use to test that, to tell you exactly the decibel it's at, anything of that nature? I don't, sir. Okay. What do you normally do with that? Is it like a fix-it ticket? Is it a civil infraction? It's usually a fix-it ticket. That'd be a waiver citation. Is it something you normally just give somebody a verbal warning on, or do you need their identification? We need their identification in order to issue the civil infraction? Yes, sir. Okay. When it came to talking with my clients,
Mr. Franklin, I'm going to ask you to keep your movements still.
I apologize. Sir, when it came to talking with my client, at any point, did he tell you or anyone else that you could hear that he felt unsafe, uncomfortable, anything of that nature? I don't know that. Okay. Did he give you any explanation for why he wasn't allegedly cooperating with your orders? No, sir. So you don't recall anything? I don't recall. Do you recall if he was on the phone with anybody at all? I don't recall. Okay. When it came to smashing out the window, was there any other way that you could have de-escalated the situation, do you think, based on your training and experience? We could have waited longer, but it's going to be the same factor. Do you recall him asking to talk to somebody's supervisor? Yes, sir. Whose supervisor did he ask to speak with? He asked to speak with our supervisor. Okay. Did your supervisor end up arriving to speak with him? No, sir. Did you attempt to reach out to the supervisor? No, sir. Was there a reason why you did not do so? Usually we do not have to have our supervisor come out traffic stop, sir. Is there any internal policy for if somebody requests the supervisor what to do in those situations? I'm not sure, sir. Okay. When you say that my client reacted in an aggressive manner, I know that can mean different things to different people. Could you tell us what you mean by that? Yeah, he squared up and made a statement. I'm unsure of the statement that he said. Okay, I appreciate my partner could relate it. Well, that's why we have multiple witnesses. I know you mentioned that you felt that he was tensing up. Based on your professional experience, was this, I guess based on your recollection, was this when you were removing him from the vehicle? No, this is when we were trying to put in handcuffs. Okay. Were they behind his back when this was happening? His muscles were tensing up? His hands were above him. Okay. Did he state in any way that he was in pain, discomfort, things of that nature? Not that I recall, sir. Okay. All right. I can't think of any other immediate questions. Ms. Carey may ask us. Thank you.
Ms. Carey?
Nothing further.
Trooper, when you were asking him to get out of the vehicle, if you said this, I apologize. What was the purpose for that?
He would provide his information for me.
Okay. Thank you. Does that raise any other questions from either counsel?
No.
Just very briefly, when you, had he confirmed his name for you at least at that point? No, at that point. Okay, so you just knew he didn't have a license? Yes, sir. Okay. Did you attempt to run his place to see the name of the person the police came back as, anything of that nature? I'm unsure that my partner did. I believe you mentioned that he did voluntarily come to a complete stop, correct? Yes, sir. At any point, did it appear that he was going to drive off or there was slight risk, anything like that? No. All right. Thank you, sir. Nothing further.
Ms. Carey?
Thank you. He came to a complete stop, but at some point he rolled back up his window.
Yes, ma'am.
And his doors were locked.
Yes, ma'am.
And he refused to get out.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Hartel?
Just to confirm, was that while he was asking to speak to a supervisor still? Yes, sir. Thank you. Nothing else.
Your next witness, Ms. Carey?
Sir, could you please state your full name for the records?
Trooper Logan Hoffmeister,
And what is your occupation?
State Trooper of the State of Michigan.
You have contact with the defendant?
I did.
Describe your contact with the defendant.
So Trooper Kennedy, speaking driver, the driver told him he's not in the vehicle, that he is traveling and did not have to have any identification. So the Trooper Kennedy went back to the vehicle at that time. I went to the driver and started talking to him, tried to explain things to him. First tried to convince him to get the vehicle. I explained it, the Pennsylvania first administered case law, to which he told me it's man's in Michigan. And I was just trying to get him to get out of the vehicle, like sort of force.
And at that point, was his window down or up?
The window was down slightly at this time.
And you may have stated this, I don't recall. Did you ask him to get out of the vehicle?
I did several times.
And did he?
He didn't.
So what happened when he refused to get out after talking to him?
I gave him one last chance. I told him, if you don't get the vehicle on, you'll be placed under arrest and we'll remove you from the vehicle. He said, I don't remember exactly. He said he didn't get the vehicle. So I told him he's under arrest. I asked him more times to the vehicle. And then I said he's under arrest again, just in case he didn't hear it the first time. And then tried to open the door was locked. So then he'd also rolled the windows up. It's time to lock the doors. So I grabbed my permit issued window punch off my belt, tried to break the window to move to the vehicle. That didn't work because the glass was blinded. Trooper Kennedy.
What happened after Trooper Kennedy broke out the window?
The defendant opened the door and said something about fighting me. I don't remember exactly what he said. He then turned and squared up towards me and tensed his arms up. So then I grabbed I grabbed one of his arms and I pinned him between the door and the A-pillar. Then Trooper Kennedy grabbed his other arm and we kind of slid him along the door. So he was facing towards the car with his back to us and he was tensing his arms while we were trying to put his hands on his back to us.
Were you able to get him under the confined handcuff him?
Yeah, eventually after Trooper Kennedy and Sergeant Grum and I were able to get his hands behind his back and then Sergeant Grum handcuffed him while Kennedy held his arms back.
Thank you. I don't have anything for this.
I know you said a moment ago, if I recall correctly, you're not required to get supervised, correct? Is there any internal training at all in that regard? If somebody requests a supervisor, how are you supposed to respond?
I mean, if one's close by, is down the road and they're available, sure, it doesn't hurt anything. But our only sergeant for that day, he's almost an hour away. We can sit in that seat in Cadillac. And he's going to show to the exact same thing, do the exact same thing.
But when you were placing him under arrest, what was the initial thing you were placing him under arrest for? It wasn't for the muffler, was it?
No, it would have been for resisting obstruction.
But to resist or obstruct, what was he resisting or obstructing? Was there another crime that he was resisting or obstructing arrest?
Oh, I'm sorry. He didn't have a license.
I think he's testified he was being placed under arrest because he was operating without a license. Correct?
That's what I heard. I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page.
Okay, let's move on.
Thank you. When it came to my client and when he was asking for a supervisor, did he make any other statement saying why he wanted to talk to a supervisor?
I don't recall exactly what he said. He was making those statements. I just don't recall.
I understand. Do you recall him saying anything about him being feeling unsafe around officers, anything of that nature?
I don't recall he exactly said that there's something wrong with it.
That's why he wasn't submitted to entering the vehicle.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your honesty.
Ms. Carey?
I don't have anything further.
Not fine. But when it comes to my client maybe saying something about fighting but not knowing the details, that for all we know would have meant just I'm going to fight the charge. We don't know. Both officers testified it didn't appear my client was going to leave and that he had pulled over voluntarily. Even though my client hasn't acted his Fifth Amendment right, so I won't try to go inside his head beyond what we heard in the testimony. It does appear that somebody voluntarily came to a stop, felt unsafe, was requesting a supervisor, and anything that people aren't sure exactly what was said, I ask the court not to factor that in. I don't believe that he was intentionally resisting or obstructing.
Well, I think he was intentionally resisting and obstructing a police officer on two of them, actually. rolling up the window and locking the doors, refusing to get out, refusing to identify himself, and then again insisting be handcuffed once he got out of the vehicle.
Right. After hearing the testimony today, the court finds probable cause to believe that the prosecution has met their burden in count number 1, resist and obstruct a police officer that is charged as and or with Logan Kennedy, with Trooper Logan Kennedy or Trooper Logan Hoffmeister. Both troopers testified that on May 16th of this year, they made a traffic stop in Herring Township at approximately the corner of Bell Avenue and North Mitchell Street here in Wexford County. The reason for the stop was that there was a defective exhaust. It is clear that case law allows a stop to occur, and then that morphs into other investigations as the time progresses. In particular, in this case, he was stopped for the defective exhaust, but quickly became that he was operating without a license and that he essentially declared sovereign citizen status. Both Trooper Kennedy and Trooper Hoffmeister testified that they gave him numerous commands to get out of the vehicle. He refused to get out of the vehicle. Trooper Kennedy testified that he gave approximately 5 commands to do so. Trooper Hoffmeister also stated that he gave several commands. There was testimony of the officers informed him that if he did not get out of the vehicle, he would be placed under arrest. Eventually, the defendant rolls up his window and starts demanding to talk to a supervisor. It gets to the level that both troopers attempt to knock out the window, with Trooper Kennedy being successful at that. And then Trooper Kennedy testified that he had some injury from interacting with the window. After being taken out of the vehicle, the defendant then tenses up so he cannot be placed into handcuffs. Additionally, there was testimony that in regards to Trooper Hoffmeister, there were some sort of words, even though the exact wording couldn't be remembered today, but the court can classify those as fighting words. And then the defendant attempts to what's commonly referred to as square up with him. He has to be placed against the A pillar of the vehicle, and yet a third officer, Sergeant Grum, has to place him in handcuffs. I find that the commands given to Mr. Franklin that day were lawful. The troopers were acting in their lawful capacity, and that he refused to follow those orders. As such, I hereby bind the defendant. Anything to address before I sign the bind over?
Yes, Your Honor. I asked the court to address what to do with bond. I asked the court to consider allowing my client to have a bond still instead of merely a remand. I do believe that would be appropriate. I know there's been a finding. The blood results on the alleged drunk driving, they came back below a legal limit at a 0.02. I believe, therefore, it'd be appropriate to remove any drug or alcohol testing, because that was the basis for that, if I recall the arraignment correctly. And even though that doesn't retroactively apply, I'd ask the court to factor in that, to my knowledge, there were no allegations of him committing any other bond violations. And I ask the court to factor that in. Thank you.
Ms. Carey?
It is true that the alcohol testing came back as 0.02. We are waiting on controlled substance testing that has been requested. Mr. Franklin has a lengthy criminal history going back to February of 2000 and continuing until February 19, 2025. Several 9 felonies and several misdemeanors. The bond violation, I think there was testimony that he also tested positive for THC, which is not part of the violation, but he did.
Bond in this case was originally set $2,500 had been posted over the weekend. The court continued it with the conditions that the defendant be subject to random alcohol testing and no marijuana with random testings as well. Based on what I hear today, bond has not been forfeited. The court will go ahead and reinstate the bond. I will keep the no marijuana testing or no marijuana provision with random testing, but I will remove the alcohol testing.